Amazing, amazing. And what about you, Lisa?
Hi, everyone. I have a son who's 7 and a daughter who's 5, a new 5. Um, I guess I finally had a breaking point during almost a year ago, really, during the pandemic, when we're all stuck together all the time. And I was just sick of guessing and researching on the internet for little tidbits on how to do well for my children. And I had been following Tia on Instagram for a little while, and I just finally I had to do something because I was sick of just guessing. And tomorrow I'll try this instead, and it'll be better. And it became obvious that what I was doing was, I mean, not that I was horrendous or anything, but all the little things.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's exactly that. It's that Googling and trying to piecemeal one thing here and one thing there. Trying it, maybe it works a little bit, but then it doesn't work, and then you're frustrated, and then you're Googling something else. And so maybe each of you can kind of chime in on when you came into the program, how did that basically help your overall confidence or sense of anxiety around trying to figure out what the hell to do? Do you feel like it gave you clear direction? Did it take out the guesswork? What did having that clear action plan and sort of systematic process, how did that help you guys?
I think for me, I like the fact that the course was divided into weeks. So it didn't feel overwhelming and you could kind of tackle one component, one, challenge in a week and have tools in your arsenal to be able to then go and use. I also think now that I'm through the program and it's finished, when I have things that come back up again, because obviously parenting is a lifelong thing and behavior challenges are a lifelong thing, it allows me to go, okay, wait, when we did that in this week, this was the solution and it worked then. So I think to Lisa's point, the course just gave me this ability to have these tools that were ready to go. I wasn't trying to find new stuff all the time. Oh, well, someone says this about yelling and another expert says that about yelling and someone else says this about eating, and there's so much information out there that I think, Tia, what your program really does is just give you like a very clear path. This is the path, stay on the path, as opposed to trying to like piece things together from a bunch of different experts.
mm,
Yeah, that makes sense. How about for you, Lisa?
yeah, there's definitely a confidence right away, even with the first lesson. And yeah, that it's broken up really helps not overwhelmed. So even with the first lesson, which is kind of an introductory, we were so excited at, some moments of clarity as well. So right away, there was a bit more of a confidence. And even if during the program, some of the stuff I had looked up on the internet to do also came up there, we now had a why. So there's a better understanding, which helps your confidence as well. It's like, oh, okay, now I know why I need to try this. Whereas before, it'd be like, well, I don't think that worked. Was that the right thing? Like, I don't know. So,
And with all those questions of like, is this right? Is this not right? Inside the program, you have answers not only in your weekly lessons, but the access to me on a daily basis. And so do you feel like there were times during your path and your journey where you were, gosh, I don't know, is this working? Is this not working? What should I do? I don't know what to do. What kind of kept you on path? Was it the support? Was it just trusting in the process? Was it a combination of all? What was really the factors that helped you reach your goals?
The support was really key for sure. Like having you available where I was like, I tried this and I got this reaction. I wasn't expecting this. Where do I go from here? That was really, really paramount. The weekly meetings, I think, were amazing. Being able to, talk to someone like Lisa, whose kids are the same age as mine, to say, like, hey, did you try this? And how did it go for you? And, during the pandemic, like, how's homeschooling? What are you doing with your SK who doesn't want to sit in front of the computer for hours at a time? Like, that support and accountability, I think, was key. The content is amazing, but definitely, Tia, having you to be like, I tried this and it didn't work, or, this came up and I can't figure out what to do from here. The troubleshooting that you provide is really, really important.
Amazing. Yeah. And what do you guys tell parents, like based on where you are today, based on where you were before you came in the program, like the things that really had you lost and frustrated and feeling badly about the way you were reacting? what do you say to those parents about where you are now? Like, where can you go with the right action plan and with the right support? And where would you be if you didn't take a next step?
Well, uh, so there's such a difference in how you feel afterwards. It's hard to put it in a short answer, but I mean, I wouldn't have improved if I hadn't taken the next step. But now, with those same scenarios, like it doesn't mean I'm all of a sudden perfect, but now you can go back and go, oh, I could have done this instead. You can feel the feelings of maybe having done maybe a mistake, and then you can move on. And you actually can move on. You don't go to bed going, oh crap.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that is the difference between taking the next steps and not.
Yeah, kind of knowing how to pick yourself up the next day because you know what those steps are, or you can revisit your content hub and listen to those lessons again. Yeah, that's amazing. How about for you, Sam?
Yeah, I think for me, what's been really, really helpful when I talk to other parents is really just this idea of like, this is my overall philosophy on parenting. I really align Tia with your philosophy on parenting and how you treat kids, and the tools that you sort of use in order to accomplish your goals. Right. For me, it felt like I was constantly reminding my kids, which led to yelling because I'm like, how many times do I have to tell you to get your damn boots on? Like, we're running late because I'm running around doing everything for everybody. And that feeling was just, I was at my breaking point with it. That to me has been the biggest difference. Now there's a clear understanding with my kids of what they're responsible for and what I'm responsible for. And if they've forgotten something or not done something they're responsible for, then they have to deal with those consequences. And that alone has just been a huge difference. But I think for me, it's this idea behind, this is my philosophy on parenting. It's what you taught us in the course. Kids deserve respect and they deserve to be listened to, and they have to have responsibilities, and they're members of the family as well. And just that sort of guiding light really allows me to make better decisions when it comes to parenting, and really just be a better parent.
Mhm.
Yeah, which improves your overall quality of life, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I always get the question, and I have the question always here. What about the investment? That's always the
Mhm.
question because it is an investment. And we, and myself included, anytime I'm signing up for something, I hum and haw, and I try and tell all of you guys, don't hum and haw, just do it. But it's human nature to say, gosh, what if I don't stick to it and I've invested it? Or what if it doesn't work for my kids and it works for everybody else? Or what if I actually can't stop yelling because I was yelled at as a kid and there's just no way that I'm going to stop yelling? And we really sabotage our own results because we're afraid of the commitment. And oftentimes I find that the investment is the key factor in what we might use as a quote unquote excuse, even though it is a big investment. And I 100% recognize that. But sometimes that's the easiest thing to fall back on, to just say, oh, you know what? I can't invest in it. So that's just the way it is. I'm going to have to stay stuck. What are your guys' thoughts on how the investment maybe is a lifelong investment, not a 12-week investment? Or what were your thoughts and feelings when you were about ready to hit go on that? And what did you feel after?
Well, I guess I never even considered that it was something that might not work. It seemed obvious to me that it would, that you knew what you were talking about more than I thought I knew what I was talking about.
That's
um,
a good thing. Okay.
Yeah. Tia
but it,
definitely knows more than Lisa and I, that's for
yeah.
sure.
um, so I just didn't realize it. So when we did the breakthrough call, I thought it was maybe a lot of small packages. So I didn't realize it was a big program, which ended up being much better because it's all those small ones that tie together. Um, and so it could be because I'm a maker, but I tie prices to the values pretty quick. So to me, that was content that was built for 3 months of work, where you are available for us every day, 7 days a week. So that made sense to me. Plus, we get access to the content afterwards. And so I never thought of it as like, I know it is an investment, but I definitely recognized it as an investment that we needed to do.
Yeah.
And it took, after I got off the phone, it took literally 30 seconds of a discussion with my husband about it. Like, you know, this for this much amount of time and beyond is worth feeling better with our family and the respect for everybody. So
Yeah, so you saw the value in that, having that support and the step by step. And you're right, little and there's no wrong next step. And I say that to parents all the time. If you really truly you can't make that next step financially, doesn't mean you can't take another next step. But you're exactly right when you say that you don't have to piece it all together. And small next steps sometimes give us the confidence to take another and another, like a stepping stone. But having it all, you put some skin in the game and you're committed to it. And that's often what we need, as we need accountability as humans. And that, I think, when you invest in something that's sometimes a little bit scary to invest in, it gives you that accountability. How
mhm.
about for you, Sam?
Yeah, I think, I agree with Lisa. I mean, I definitely think you have to look at it as what it is. It's a long program. And so yeah, it is an investment, but if you break it down weekly in terms of what you're getting, it's really not that different than if you were trying to seek out some kind of, psychologist or other behavioral specialist that could help you with your child. If you break that down on a weekly basis, it's really the same cost. I think when you look at any kind of program like this, whether it's parenting or diet or exercise or some goal you have, and there's an investment to it, I think really what stops people is the realization they have to do the work to create the change. It's not necessarily about the money itself. It's really about, okay, if I spend the money, I actually have to commit to do the work and make change. And I think that's where people kind of get stuck. But for me, if that's the thought process, that really is, for me, that was me saying, I really want to do this. I really do want to make change. I really do want to be a better mom. I do want to have a better quality of life for everybody. So it's usually not about the money. It's about
Personal, yeah.
outside of the money.
Yeah, because it's work. And I'll usually say you're going to work regardless. We're lucky we have our kids. We're going to be parents. We have to put the time and energy and effort in. So you can either put it in yelling and feeling frustrated and upset, or you can put it in actually using effective strategies to try and get you to that place where you're not doing that anymore. So if you guys think about where you are today versus where you were when you started, how do you feel either your perspective or your quality of life or your relationship with your kids altogether has sort of shifted or changed?
Well, it's definitely shifted. Everybody's a lot more calm. Is that what you mean? Like how?
Yeah, just anything. Yeah. How do you feel now? You've graduated, you've done the work, you've put the time in, you know the skills, you're now in practice maintenance mode. How do you feel like, if you're Lisa pre-parenting a person purpose method and Lisa post, how does your family, how do you feel about your day-to-day interactions as a parent or as your with your quality of life in general?
So much more relaxed, that's for sure. So I think a lot of people can identify with the feeling of walking on eggshells,
Mm.
not knowing what's coming next, and all of those things. Well, the confidence kind of replaced that. So now I know, instead of trying to raise my kids respectfully, I am raising my kids respectfully. When situations arise, well, we know how to build things up ahead of time now. So when situations arrive, we can stay calm and know how to deal with it. And the kids know what to expect now too. So there's no crazy outbursts, or if there is, we know why it's happening and we can handle it more calmly. So that is a much better, comfortable way of life now than before.
Yeah, yeah, a different Lisa from our discovery call, like a way different Lisa. I mean, I remember it, my kids won't stop fighting. All they do is fight. And I know that's still an ongoing battle because we can't change something that's been happening for X amount of years in 12 weeks, but you have the tools to keep improving it. But I know, like, the chaos that we feel on the discovery call versus the way you feel when you graduate the program is just, it's amazing to watch. How about for
Mhm.
you, Sam?
Yeah, I think for me, pre the course, it also felt chaotic, right? Especially in the morning. It just felt like there were a million things everyone was trying to remember, and it felt like I was trying to remember everything for my kids. Whereas now, through like expectations and charts and, less reminders on my part and more responsibility on their shoulders, obviously age appropriate. It just feels like the morning is a lot smoother. Everyone's clear. There's not we have time in the morning to have a little bit of playtime now. Everything just feels a little bit more settled. I feel settled. And I like what Lisa said about walking on eggshells. Sometimes in the morning, I would think to myself, okay, how's this going to go? Like I hope we're not screaming at each other by the time we're trying to get out the door. Now it's just very clear and everyone just knows what they're supposed to be doing. And then when we're done, it's like, okay, now we're done. And now we can color for a bit or do something fun. And everyone just seems, way happier and way more organized. So it's not perfect. Some mornings it gets kind of hairy. And then I'm like, oh, I should go back and watch that module again on this. Or go back to my notes and review that again and make sure I can, sometimes my kids will say like, we have the yelling tracker over here because I've raised my voice a little bit. So it's good. It's also been good to, build them into the process too and help them understand, what it feels like sometimes and how, how they can make change in their little lives too, which is kind of cool.
Okay, so I have a question on, do you think it's too late if my kids are 6 and 4? This is what, yeah. No, what do you guys think?
No,
Yeah,
no. I think, the best thing about now that we're in maintenance and we can go back and still watch the courses, like it's never perfect. Like making behavior changes in your kids and in yourself is really difficult. And there's always going to be that slide where you go back to habit, right? And so I think, it's never too late. Like my kids will be 10 and 14 and I'm still going to be trying to figure out how to, oh, now we have this problem and how to get back on track with this. I don't think it's ever too late.
always flowing because your kids are always growing, right? It's not a set it and forget it parenting. But if you have the right tools, you can set it and forget it more than if you have no tools and you're just yelling constantly and frustrated constantly. Yeah. So what do you think would happen for those parents who are like on the fence? What do you think happens if they don't make change? Like, where do you think you would feel like you would be right now if you hadn't joined the program?
Well, still the same, still feeling guilty, still feeling worried about my future relationship with my kids, worried about how they're feeling, um, worried that they're getting the respect they need, even though like with my best intentions, that's what I had tried to do. Um, and just not knowing.
Yeah.
It's so hard. And they're pretty adaptable, honestly. Like
Mm.
they're just waiting for like they feel good.
They're waiting for you to make those changes. So when you implement those action tasks, which are the how to's in the program, it's not just information. This is why you don't yell. This is why you don't do this, but it's actually how to's so you can stop those things. Your kids were pretty easy to adapt to those how to's. Is that what you're trying to explain? Is that they adapt to the new strategies and the new solutions and the new things you implement?
Yeah, they do. And for some of the things, they liked being involved in the process as well. And I like that it's honest and upfront and all of those good things.
Yeah. How about for you, Sam?
Yeah, I think, for me, it was nice to include the kids for sure. I think if I hadn't joined the program, I would still be having these chaotic mornings. And, especially during COVID, like when we were doing online school and, there was a lot of the tools that I pulled from the course that helped while we were all home. Especially those charts and routines and responsibilities. It slid a little bit in the beginning of the pandemic where like the house just like a bomb had gone off and everyone was like, it was kind of chaos all over the place. And I realized like we had to get back on track. But I think without making change, nothing changes. And I think going back to your earlier question about the investment, if you're kind of like looking down the barrel thinking, should I really do this? I mean, like, what's your alternative if you don't? Like continuing to live in chaos, continuing to be frustrated, continuing to yell all the time. Like there's no way to sort of I think the best thing about your program, Tia, is the awareness that comes from it and the ability to sort of look at what you're creating for your family outside of yourself and say, how can I improve this and change this? Because the awareness, it comes all the time. I go through a couple weeks and I'm like, okay, I gotta get back here and I gotta get back on here and I gotta get back here. And it's, that investment really is the accountability you need to really make the change because it can be tough.
Yeah, for sure. Awareness is the biggest thing in all areas of our life. And I know on the yelling module, it's the hardest place for parents because they start to realize how much they're actually yelling because we have to take note of it. But we're not going to make change if we're not aware. And if we keep sweeping it under the rug, things only get worse as your kids grow. And then that's the cycle that you're teaching them when they have kids. And when you have your grandkids, you're going to be saying to yourself, why didn't I do something? Because the cycle doesn't end with us. It starts right now. Like we get to choose how we want that cycle to look. Another question I have is, what do you do if your partner isn't on board, doesn't want to do it as much as you, isn't interested in it, or just doesn't think there needs to be a change? Any thoughts based on your guys' experiences on that you kind of ran it alone, or your partner was involved? Anything that you could share with those parents with those questions?
That's a tough one because my husband was and is on
Mhm.
board. He may not have, he didn't finish all of the modules, but he he would defer to me. Like he would ask and listen to what I had to say about what I had learned. So that worked well for him and
Good.
his learning about the parenting method. If he wasn't on board, that's a tough question. I will say that this, all of what I had learned, I found applied to everybody in my life. Like you can apply it to adults too. So it would teach you how to speak to your partner as well, if that makes any sense,
Yeah.
uh, without shame or blame. And because you work the whole thing as everybody works as a team, right? So
Yeah, it makes sense because it does trickle to other aspects of your life. And I had a dad actually message me on the weekend who's in the program now with his wife. And he said, I just wanted to share the fact that I actually took your strategies on consequences to my workplace and my team. And I realized I was bailing them out and I was giving them excuses. And I just wanted you to know, like, this is actually changing other parts of my life, because it is just an overall respect, general communication, consistency, connection, and really those three C's, that connection, consistency, and communication are the three areas we're focusing when we break down all those modules, and we need those in every relationship of our life. So that's amazing that you saw that. How about for you, Sam?
Yeah, I think sort of similar to Lisa, the parenting in my house is sort of deferred to me, which is fine. I think, if you have a partner, if you're not sure if they're going to be on board with the exercise, I found through my experience, once I started to see positive changes with the kids, then, my partner was more interested in the tools I was implementing, because when it got easier, all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, it's working. And so, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. I definitely think parenting is a team sport. I mean, you have to, you've got to rely on your partner. You've got to be on the same page about the philosophy of how you feel about raising your kids. Um, so I mean, if you're not on the same page to start, that's outside of my scope of expertise. But I think if you just have a partner who doesn't want to necessarily be involved in the program, I think once you are involved and you're watching the videos and you're implementing the changes and they see how it works with the kids, they're typically more interested in wanting to, get on board as well.
Yeah, 100%, because we're teaching our kids that we're their biggest role model, and we show, we don't force. And the same thing with your partner. As soon as you start showing them, they do see that it's easier, that your kids are, cooperating more and listening more, and they start to follow suit. I have lots of parents in the program who are widowed, separated, blended families, live with grandparents, and they're parenting, co-parenting with grandparents. There isn't, I have parents who join the program and don't tell their husbands or partners that they joined the program, and they just do it solo, because you really have to decide what's going to be the right choice for you. When you look back and your kids are 18 and they're walking away and you're dropping them off at university or whatever that next step is, what do you want to say about your parenting experience? Like, did I give it my all? Did I do my best? And it might not always be that your partner's best is the same as your best. And that's the same with fitness or health or eating. Like, not everybody eats the same way or has the same routines. And parenting's the exact same way. You have to do what's going to make you feel that you've given it your all. Okay, so any final thoughts? Because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I so appreciate you guys being here. And then it's so nice to see you guys again since I don't see you weekly anymore. Any final thoughts that you can say to the parents who are watching and go back and watch this on the replay, who are really frustrated and at their wits' end and feel sort of defeated? What are your recommendations or thoughts to them?
Well, I want them to join. um, just the support and the coaching calls. I, it's so much better than feeling alone, and feeling bad for the past, or even if it's not a lot of bad things. It's just, I watched all of those coaching calls just for other people's perspectives and the communication. It's just, everything helps so much. So, I mean, I know it's an investment. Otherwise, I would say, what do you have to lose? But it's, I don't know. I would really encourage it.
That's amazing. Yeah, the coaching calls. I love the coaching calls. Yeah. How about for you, Sam? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just think you won't regret it. I mean, I think, Tia, to your point, like I posted a picture earlier on Facebook of my daughter from 5 years ago when she was an infant, and it feels like yesterday and it feels like 25 years ago at the exact same time. It goes fast, and I don't think you're going to regret the program. You won't regret the investment in your kids. There's really, I don't think, anything more important. If you're thinking, I want to make a change, this is really just the first step. It's the exact thing that you need. It has a clear plan. It has accountability. It has support. It has communication. It has tools. It has things your kids can do with you. It really is like a family program. It's not just a program for the person who's parenting. You won't regret it. You've just got to be ready to do the work and make the change and take the first step.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here, for answering the questions, for taking time. I'm going to send you a little something for my gratitude, and reach out anytime. And I really appreciate you guys. It's a Monday, and I know it's probably not what you wanted to do on a Monday morning. So I really, really appreciate it. So nice to see you guys, and thanks so much.
Oh,
Oh, T, we love you. You don't need to
Nice
send us
too.
anything.
no.
Okay.
Thank
No,
you.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Good to see you.
You too.